We have the same objective for Part B here as we did in Part A. Objective being write the function in simplest form, identify the discontinuities, and then classify those discontinuities. Now, we see we have different types of polynomials in numerator and denominator than we did in the first problem. In the first problem, we had trinomials, quadratic functions, and those, we just used the FOIL method to factor those. But here, if you remember, in terms of factoring, what we want to do is factor out the GCF, the greatest common factor. And I think that maybe those of you that are struggling with the greatest common factor type of factoring, let's go ahead and rewrite each of these terms. 4x to the fourth is a term. We're going to break it down into its most simplest parts, meaning we're going to basically rewrite 4x to the fourth in the prime factored state. So 4 can be written as 2 times 2. X to the fourth can be written as x times x times x times x. We have a plus sign there. And then 8, we know that 8 is 2 times 4, which is 2 times 2 times 2. And then we have, again, x cubed, so x times x times x. So we're factoring the numerator, but factoring out a GCF, what does that mean? Well, a greatest common factor. So if we have factors that are common to both terms, then let's write that up here. Greatest common factor. Common to both terms, we have a 2 in both terms. Another 2 in both terms. We have x's, 1, 2, 3 here, 1, 2, 3 here. So we have x times x times x. So basically we've taken those out. We've taken those common factors out of each term, and we've come up with 2 times 2 is 4, x times x times x is x cubed. We've taken out a 4x cubed. Now, look how this works. If we take out a 4x cubed, factor out a 4x cubed, what's left over in the first term? We've already taken 4x cubed out of the first term. We're left with, let's get a different color, we're left with an x. So, if we're left with an x, that stays. Plus sign is still there. Plus sign didn't get canceled out. The 2 here didn't get canceled out. 4x cubed got canceled out, got taken out, and what's left over is a 2. I urge you to pause the video and see if you can factor the denominator in the same way that I factor the numerator, and I'll go ahead and do that. Now, we're going to rewrite the denominator here, 7 times x times x times x. This is just in an effort, guys, to help you visualize why the factored form of this numerator of each of these, in this case, this numerator here looks like this. Factored form, factoring out 4x cubed, multiply 4x cubed times x, you get 4x to the fourth. Multiply 4x cubed times positive 2, you get positive 8x cubed. That's why that's the factored form. Anyway, so this is just in an effort to help you visualize what is going on. Greatest common factor of the denominator, we can see we have a, oops, wrong color. We can see we have a 7 in both, so we write that down. There's 7 here, but there's not a 7 here, so we don't write another 7 down. There's 2 7s are not common to both, so therefore we only write 1 7. Here's an x that's common to both, so we write that down. Here's another x that's common to both, so we write that down. So we have a greatest common factor multiplying these 3 factors together, we get 7x squared. So we've taken 7x squared out of both terms. When we take 7x squared out of both terms, 7x squared out of both terms, what are we left with? Well, in the first term, we're left with an x. In the second term, so we have minus sign there, though, don't forget about that. In the second term, we're left with 7. So the polynomial now, or the rational function, can be rewritten in its factored form, and when we set the factors equal to 0, x squared equal to 0 and x minus 7 equals 0, we take the 2 factors in the denominator, set them equal to 0, solve those equations, and we get our discontinuities, 0 and 7. 0 makes x squared equal to 0, and 7 makes x minus 7 equal to 0. If we cancel then, we can cancel x squared here. We have x squared, 2x's cancel in the denominator, and there's 2x's up here to cancel with, so we subtract 2 up there from that exponent. We have x cubed over x squared, that's just x in the numerator. X squared gets canceled, which means the 0 is removable. The x minus 7 did not get canceled, so the 7 is non-removable. And then, so we've accomplished our discontinuities, we've classified them, and then all we have to do is rewrite the function g of x in its simplest form. G of x equals what gets left over up on top, 4x times x plus 2, all over. The 7 didn't get canceled, and the x minus 7 didn't get canceled either. So that's our simplest form.